Thank you for being here, and we appreciate you and Senator Blumenthal for calling the meeting. And this is really good stuff that we're discussing. I want to start with discussing the Veteran Burial Timeliness and Death Certificate Accountability Act. Families of veterans have suffered delays in certifying their loved ones passing as long as 8 weeks. This creates difficulties for the families to receive death benefits received with burial honors, and forces local government to maintain possession of the veteran's body. Mr. O'Toole, does VA policy allow a physician assistant to certify a death certificate in states that require a physician or coroner to certify?
Thank you, Senator. And specifically related to this bill, I want to note that the VA supports it. Absolutely, although there are some amendments that we would recommend. The first is that physician assistants who are practicing as independent providers in primary care, specifically, we feel should be included in those clinicians able to sign a death certificate, which is standard practice in many states already. Our other request is that we go for, instead of 48 hours to two business days, which is our current practice, and also reflects the challenges with 95% of the deaths occurring outside of a VA facility, some of the logistic requirements dealing with holidays, weekends, and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Can you explain the processes a VA physician must go through to sign a death certificate, and compare that process for when a veteran passes away outside of a VA facility?
I can tell you from my own experience, usually it's a notification by the medical examiner or a mortician's office about a death, and requesting the certification be completed in a certain time. Obviously, it is greatly facilitated if that patient has been seen recently, and the records are appreciated on a natural for natural causes. Again, it's a little bit trickier if the patient has not been seen recently or the death occurred in a circumstance that might not be consistent. And that's pretty usual, whether it's within the VA or outside the VA system. We recently stood up an office and put out a directive as well as training for all of our VA clinicians that's intended to clarify and codify those processes internally for us.
Very good. Ms. Devlin, can you speak to the importance of death benefits for the families of veterans and the consequences of delaying their delivery?
Absolutely. We work with many sources of information for first notice of death because we want to make sure that the survivors receive their benefits in the most timely manner. We've reduced our inventory of dependency and indemnity compensation claims dramatically, working on getting those timely benefits to survivors.
Very good. I'm proud to be an original co-sponsor of the VA SAFE Act of 2025. Veterans are uniquely targeted by scammers to exploit their access to benefits. Ms. Devlin, can you talk about the legal difficulties in recovery from a scam?
I'm not an expert in legal recovery from scams, but I can tell you we take very seriously protecting our veterans from fraudsters. We have many efforts underway, and as I mentioned earlier, the bad guys are always changing their techniques, which means we have to be sharp and continually evolving our practices. We saved veterans from multiple fraud attempts based on our efforts. And I can tell you that identity theft and other types of fraud can be very catastrophic for families. Financial loss, loss of credit, all sorts of problems can result. And that's why we provide one-on-one remediation to our veterans and their families if that does happen to them.
What does the VA lack in ability the scam and fraud officer could provide?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
What does the VA lack in ability that a scam and fraud officer could provide?
I think we have the capability now, creating a fraud officer. We did support the bill. Having that position codified in law would strengthen our capabilities just for the mere fact of that position being a permanent position, and that individual would work with all of the administrations because we have unique situations in VBA and VHA and NCA that are uniquely different in terms of how fraud can affect our veterans that we serve.
Very good. We appreciate it. These are little, they're not little things. They're things that really do affect people a great deal, and both with inconvenience and, you know, as you pointed out, Ms. Devlin, just the adverse things that can happen as a result of the scams. And then two, you know, not being able to get a death certificate in a timely fashion. And we can argue about what timely is, but in some cases it's not timely. We do need to correct that because it really does put people in a difficult situation. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Boozman.